We are live.
Yes, sir. Welcome back. Episode 2. So nice. We did it twice of the Clutch Pearl podcast. I'm Grant Tanner, joined by Noah Carter. We had a great slate of games this week. We're ready to jump right into it. So, Gavitt tip off. Champions Classic in Chicago. A lot of elite teams playing, some great games. Let's start it off with Duke and Michigan State. Michigan State underwhelming, kind of got whipped by Duke.
I don't think there's any kinda about it, man. Like it was baffling to me. Like if Duke is not good, let me start with that. Duke is not good. Very overrated. Their guards are terrible. Michigan State's guards outside of Walker made them look like superstars because they said, here's the ball. I'm gonna put it in your hands. It was so bad. Like, oh my God. Grinding my gears, man.
No, we were talking about it just before we went live. Is nobody on Michigan State can score.
No.
And don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong. We talked about it before. Tyson Walker is a dog. He's got that dog in him. He's a baller, undersized, can still score, but he's not a player who makes his teammates better. Like his job is to go get a bucket, and they don't have anyone else. They don't have anyone else to help him. So if he's off, then you're gonna get beat by 30 by this Duke team.
You know who he reminds me of? When Isaiah Thomas was on the Celtics. He was
I
going to put
see
up
him.
big numbers, but size, but nothing else. Can't give you anything else. He's not, I don't think he's a great passer. He's not a good rebounder. He doesn't play a lick of defense. Like, it's the right handed Isaiah Thomas. Microwave scorer, though.
Let me ask you. I asked you the same thing last week. How worried are you if you're a Michigan State fan right now?
I mean, at this point, like, I think the Big Ten is bad enough this year, which we will get into. It's bad enough. They're probably going to be, I don't know, probably fifth or sixth. And I think the Big Ten only gets 5 or 6 teams this year. And we'll get into that later. But I think Michigan State is going to get in because because the Big Ten is bad enough that like they're just going to slip by and win a bunch of conference games. But yeah, I mean, I'm scared. I mean, they're probably a 10, 11 seed in the tournament, in my opinion.
You agree? I mean, if they keep this up, I don't. There's a chance they don't even make the tournament. Honestly, like
No,
I'm
there
gonna put that
really
out there
is.
now. I don't. This could be like, Big Ten's not very good. We could see only a handful of Big Ten teams get in, and I would not be surprised at all if Michigan State does not get in unless someone other than Tyson Walker learns how to play basketball.
Yeah, I mean, last year, why they were successful at times, they weren't even successful all the time. But why they were successful was not because of AJ Hogard. It was like I mentioned last week. It was because of Mr. Hauser. That dude, I mean, he just did all the dirty work. Like he got on the boards offensively and defensively. Great passer. Always got a bucket when you needed it. You know, who's the second fiddle scorer now?
No,
You know,
you go down the list and look at how they played against Duke, and
they
no,
don't have
no,
it.
like it would be nice to say that they played good because they just didn't.
Yeah. I mean, and now I'm going to jump to Duke because Michigan State doesn't deserve that much of my time anymore. Tyrese Proctor didn't play very good, in my opinion.
I would agree. I
Jeremy
would say
Jeremy
as
Roach,
a whole, I am very underwhelmed with Duke's guards. They have not lived up to what they should have been, but but Caleb Foster had a great game. I will say that.
Foster played phenomenal. I think he's a good freshman guy they can build around a little bit. But
But here's
Jeremy
the
Jeremy
thing though,
Roach is the most overrated guard in all of college basketball.
the shots that their guards were hitting was solely because Filipowski was getting doubled and was smart enough to kick it out, and they were hitting horse shots.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen every game because there's going to be teams that are able to guard Filipowski. Filipowski is not strong. He's big, but he's not strong. He's skilled, but he's not strong. I mean, there's a lot of teams that can guard that. Namely, one team is Marquette. That big man for Marquette, that dude is great defensively. I mean, unbelievable job he does.
Marquette, we'll hit on this here in a second. Marquette is elite. They're the
Yes.
real deal. They're the
Oh
real
yeah.
deal.
They
You know what?
they
Let's
score. They
jump
get
right
out in
into that.
transition.
Let's jump right into that. Marquette in Champaign against the Illini come out with the win, but what do you think overall of this game?
I think both of these teams already are top 10 teams. First of all, I don't know what you think. That's what I think. I think they are both top 10 teams. I think that solidified it. They are both elite defensively, elite defensive teams. They took two very high powered offenses because each offense is very high powered, likes to get out in transition. They mostly took away the transition game, both sides. And I mean, they just flat guarded. Illinois had some turnover issues, but it's not the turnover issues that we were worried about coming into the year. It was from Shannon Jr. and Hawkins. Those are guys, I mean, Hawkins, yeah, I mean, a little bit, but I mean, he's not one of your playmakers. Like last year, the issue was Epps, Sky Clark, Sincere Harris, all those guys that were doing the majority of the ball handling. Those were the guys that were turning the ball over. It was Shannon and Hawkins had 10 of the 15 turnovers. You're not going to see that the longer the season goes. Those guys are clutch. Those guys are veterans. They're going to be Illinois is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think Illinois and Marquette are two of the best teams in the country.
And you were saying about the turnovers too. I mean, a lot of them happen in that final 10-minute stretch of the game. And to some degree, that's going to be expected when you have a basically a new team. I know there's some of the same guys, but it's a newly put together team. It's not like these guys have played 4 years together. So like you're gonna
And
have some growing pains. But you add that to the elite defense that they showed, like that was a relatively low scoring game.
yeah,
And then
especially for those
those
two
are not
teams.
those are not Marquette's not a low scoring offense. Like they're good. Tyler Kolek is legit.
Neither is Illinois. I mean, they put 90 plus points up. I know it's an
But that
exhibition. They put 90 plus points up on Kansas.
that's what I'm getting at. Like I wouldn't necessarily put them in there right now in the I'd say top 15 right now. But give it a month, give it 2 months, let that offense click. They could easily be top five.
Oh yeah, it's solely based on the offense at this point. The defense last year they struggled defensively. Yes, they got beat off the bounce, but I don't give me that crap. That off Marquette ran the Brad Underwood offense and ran it perfect because Tyler Kolek, we'll get into him later too. Tyler Kolek coming off, he's got a blue ankle and goes out there and I mean, he was best player on the floor. Sorry, TSJ, but he was. Like Kolek, he won the game 1-on-1 essentially. They cleared out a side, set a ball screen for him, let him go to work.
Another one from the Gavitt games I want to touch on just a little bit, and then I want to go to Kansas, Kentucky. Creighton and Iowa. Creighton gets the win. How do you how do you feel about Iowa? How do you think they add or subtract to the Big Ten? And what do you think about Creighton?
Okay, I was a little bit more high on Iowa than most other people were, especially your Rothsteins and Andy Katz and those guys, because I don't care who Fran McCaffrey is trotting out there. That dude just has an unbelievable offense every year. That game was the most offensive showing I've ever seen. They're not going to beat a team like Illinois or Marquette or not even a Duke. Not going to beat Arizona. Not going to beat Kansas or Kentucky. But they are going to beat a lot of teams because they're just going to be able to outscore them most of the time. Teams that aren't good defensively will not beat Iowa. If you're trying to go head to head, just straight offense, Iowa's going to beat you 9 times out of 10. The one time out of 10 happened to be Creighton because their offense is just good.
Creighton's got some guys who can light it up. And they'll pull it too. And Kalkbrenner, he's a load. He's good. But
Yeah, the Big East is
I
something,
forgot
man.
I was watching Iowa for a second. I got so used to the football team putting up 13 points a game. We got to 75. I was like, good Lord, I like this.
I mean, Fran McCaffrey and their football team, they run their games the exact opposite. Basketball, they're all about point, 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 point. Football, they're like, let's see if we can hold somebody scoreless and win 3-0.
Let's move on to I thought this was the best game of the week, and that is Kansas and Kentucky in Chicago, Champions Classic.
Might be the top two teams in the country. I said it.
We were questioning Kentucky last week. We were questioning them hard. And
I'll eat those words.
even in a loss, they were mightily impressive.
This is the best.
I'll tell you
This is the
who
best
was my
Kentucky
player of
team
the game
since
for
Carl
them.
Anthony Towns was there.
And he was probably the lowest rated freshman they had coming in. Reed Shepherd impressed the crap out of me.
Yeah, played well, really well, really well.
He looked poised the whole time. He still had some turnovers, but that's a good group. And DJ Wagner, best freshman they brought in, went 1 for 12. That's not going to happen every night.
Oh no.
I think they play again tomorrow. I think Kentucky wins this game. I really do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And one thing I'm going to say about Kentucky, don't sleep on Antigua, Orlando Antigua being back on his staff in year 2. Year 1 was very shaky having him on staff, but now they're getting the guys they used to get, and they're not you get the DJ Wagners at Kentucky just because you're Kentucky. But Antigua is so good at finding those. I don't want to say diamond in the rough because those guys are probably still 3 and 4 stars. But like he gets guys that are kind of slept on that not many Power Fives go and get, like a Kofi Coburn when he was at Illinois, a Trent Frazier. He got those guys. I could name a few at Kentucky too. Like he just does that. He goes and gets the lesser guys, and gets more out of them. I think Shepard's a perfect example of that.
Keep in mind with this game also that Kentucky was down 3 bigs. Mainly, the main one I want to hit on is Aaron Bradshaw. Their 7-1 center was out this game, which led to Trey Mitchell guarding Hunter Dickinson, which he did. Trey Mitchell did fine, but I think you put someone who can actually bang around with Dickinson in there.
Dickinson's
Kentucky had a 14-point lead in the second half.
If they had somebody that rivals Dickinson's size a little more, Dickinson doesn't get 27 and 21, and they probably don't win. Kansas probably doesn't win. Kentucky might be the best team in the country. Like I said, we were kind of talking over each other, and my apologies for that. But best Kentucky team since Carl Anthony Towns was there.
They're the real deal.
They're good.
Like I said, I had serious doubts about them coming in. It's kind of a big question mark for me, honestly, but they're good.
Yeah, this ain't the Kentucky of the past couple
you got to
years.
remember, like, this is a really good Kansas team. They're preseason #1 for a reason. They got a winning culture. They got some dudes who are winners. They know how to win. But the one
Harris
thing
has
that
been
worries
there for
me,
100 years.
I will tell you what worries me with Kansas. They are not deep at all.
They only played I think 6 guys against Illinois in an exhibition. If you're only playing 6 guys in an exhibition, expect deep in the regular season.
I'm looking at the box score here. They played 9 guys, and 2 of them both had single-digit minutes. So really, they only played 7 guys.
Yeah. And what are the minutes on a couple of those bench guys? I want to say it was just because of foul trouble, too. Bill Self likes to only play 6 guys on his roster this year.
Yeah, the highest minutes by a bench player was Timberlake with 13 minutes.
Yeah. And Timberlake, I think that was his first game off the bench. I believe he started early on.
Dickinson played 37 minutes. DeJuan Harris played 38 minutes. Kevin McCullough played 37 minutes.
Yeah, and 2 of those guys, okay, Harris, and McCullough, because they played a lot of minutes last year, they proved they can sustain it. Cam Dickinson can sustain it because he did not play that many minutes at Michigan. Ever.
He's looked good so far. I'll give him that. He's
Oh,
looked
yeah,
good.
but my
He
question
looks. I don't know what he looks like. He's in better shape. Like he's moving better than he was at Michigan.
definitely. But my question is, the longer the season goes on, is he going to wear down, or is Self going to have to say, hey, look, I'm going to lower you down to 30 minutes instead of 37, 28
But,
instead of 37.
but
That's a lot of minutes for him.
But like who can you put in when he's not in? Like there's no one. There's such a big step down. Like no disrespect to KJ Adams, but he cannot do by himself what Hunter Dickinson can do.
No. And I think where they're really hurting, they put too much stock in Arterio Morris, who got in trouble and is now on campus. He was going to be a big part of their squad being able to come off the bench, because then with him in the game and Timberlake, you are able to play KJ in the post and be okay. But now that he's not there, it's just a free fall effect. And now they have no bench post players, essentially, that are serviceable.
Yeah, there could be an issue in the future, but in the meantime, they're humming. They're looking pretty good.
Now, can we go back to the Big Ten?
Yeah, sorry, I got it. I was been excited about that game all week. That Kentucky game was great.
The Big Ten is bad. And this is coming from a Big Ten advocate normally. It is BAD bad. I mean, just horrid. I mean, like Illinois and Purdue, cream of the crop of that conference. All right, those two teams are good. Now, I have a lot of questions about Purdue because when Edey was out of the game against Xavier, they were a net negative. If Edey is not in the game, I mean, they just get scored on in bunches. They don't play defense without him. But I mean, Edey's going to play a lot of minutes most of the time, and he doesn't foul very often. He's actually really smart about that, and so they're going to be good. And Illinois, like we mentioned, is going to be good. The team that is sneaky, I thought it was going to be Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is still good. I'm not buying too much into Providence. It's horrendously hard to go into Providence and beat them at home. But
I know that's got to be a top five hardest environment.
Yeah, easily. But it's Michigan, man. They're good. Doug McDaniel and Amari Burnett they flat got it. They flat got it. I mean, granted,
But how much stock are you putting into their best win right now is St. John's, they're okay. It's Patino's first year. They might make a tournament. They're not that good.
I agree with what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that they're a lot better than I thought they were going to be. They're with Wisconsin, them in Wisconsin. I think they're the third and fourth best team, and I think Michigan State is below them in the 5 spot in the Big Ten. And I think those are the only 5 teams that make the tournament.
From what I've seen so far, granted it's very early, there is a large disparity between 1 and 2 and the rest of the crowd.
Oh yeah, this is not a normal Big Ten year where everybody beats up on everybody, and
No, that's not to say
they're
that
so
you're not
wore
going to get.
down.
That's not to say you're not going to get your upsets. You're gonna have someone get picked off.
Yeah, because
Purdue's going to drop a game they should, and Illinois is going to drop a game they should, and
yeah,
like it's still going to be the brutal Big Ten. But
and everybody that goes to Rutgers loses. The rack is I think that's the hardest environment in college basketball, man. Like it's unbelievable.
so we said it probably 10 times already, but the Big Ten is bad, and I was listening to another podcast today, and they brought this up, but I want to hear what you have to say about it. Why do you think that the Big Ten, and I mean they're bad this year, but it's been trending this way for a while. Why do you think that the Big Ten is currently in the state they are?
It's been trending since the transfer portal started. That's why. Because the only team in the Big Ten, the only school, I should say, that gives money, NIL, to bring big-time players in is Illinois. Brad Underwood's got them boosters behind him. Nobody else does. I mean, Matt Painter, and this is part of why I have questioned. Yeah, he went and got Lance Jones, but outside of Lance Jones, his squad's a bunch of freshmen. He brought in 6 freshmen, 1 transfer. I believe just 1 transfer. You win with
I think
transfers in today's world, and I think too many of these Big Ten coaches are stuck in 2010 when you win with freshmen.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there, honestly. Especially, I would say to a degree, the Big Ten they're stuck. Like they're stuck in the past. They're stuck 10, 20 years ago. They're trying to. It's not the age where you bring in a freshman and you don't play them their freshman and sophomore year, and you develop guys for 4 years and you build a championship team. That's not how the world works
Yeah,
anymore.
and that's
And
what they're trying to
that's
do.
why you have the premier athletes going to the SEC. They're going to the Big East. They're going to the Big 12. They're skipping over the Big 10 because they just don't want to be a part of that. They want to go where they're going to make an instant impact. They're going to play the athletic style of ball they like.
Here's one for you. If Tom Izzo wants to win this year, play Jeremy Fears, man. He's your 5-star guard. Why are you bringing him off the bench? He's better than Tyson Walker. I think he's their best player right now. That is one example of a freshman
I
that
wish I
should
could
play.
tell you why he hasn't played, but no one will understand Tom Izzo. That's just the way it is. Tom Izzo
He
is
does
Tom
not
Izzo.
start. He
Tom
doesn't
Izzo
start
does what
freshmen.
Tom Izzo wants to do.
Yeah, he refuses to start a freshman, and I don't know. I don't get it. If they can play, they can play.
I agree.
I think I know he didn't play that much the other day. But don't be surprised if you see Dre Gibbs Lawhorn at Illinois slip into the starting lineup. Brad Underwood is not afraid to play freshmen, and he handles the ball well. And I know he didn't shoot it well the other day, but I mean, Brad Underwood said in an interview today he made 37 threes in a row, contested threes in a row at practice. And Illinois needs, if they're going to need some offense, because I mean they were bringing him in to play defense. If you're bringing in a freshman to play defense, he's good. It's just the way it is at a place like that. But yeah, like I said, Illinois is the only ones that are really like bringing in money. I mean, they went and got Meyer and Shannon last year, the 2 probably most expensive transfers in the portal last year. Granted, it didn't work out with Meyer, but I mean, got TSJ back again because of that NIL money. Brought back Coleman Hawkins because of that NIL money. Brought in a Marcus Damask over a Wisconsin, which is his home state, because of that NIL money. You know, it's just things like that. I think the other thing is Underwood's trying to play more small ball. He didn't play Dane Danger. I think Dane Danger played 2 minutes the other night against Marquette. Underwood has embraced the small ball game. Nobody else has in the Big
That
Ten.
is one thing I will give Underwood all the credit in the world. He is one of the only Big Ten coaches who has kind of like followed the lead of what other conferences have been doing for a while now and having more success in the postseason than the Big Ten. He's adapting to the positionless basketball, the small ball, bringing in the more athletic. They're not surrounding their team based off of a big center. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think he learned, and Kofi, as I mentioned earlier, that was Antigua's guy. Antigua wanted him, loved him. And I mean, you can't turn down an All American. When Kofi entered the portal there and came back that one year for his junior year. But Underwood, I think Underwood preferred to not have him on the roster. I think Underwood, that's what he had at Oklahoma State in his 1 year there. You know, he brought in a bunch of transfers that year, a bunch of grad transfers, and he just played small ball. I think that's what Underwood likes to do. He likes to get up in your drill. He likes to switch all over the place. That's what he wants to do. He's got danger basically to get through the gauntlet of the Big Ten of the teams, like to basically guard guys like Sissoko at Michigan State and Edey at Purdue.
I would agree. Let's uh let's look ahead a little bit. Next week, Feast Week. one of the best weeks of basketball of the preseason, probably the best week of basketball in the preseason. We got some good matchups. We got some elite tournaments coming up. Let's start with the Maui Gym. Who are you looking to win it? What games are you looking forward to the most?
It's hard for me to pick a winner. I'll be honest, but I can pick where the winner's coming from. Can I do that? Is that okay?
Where the winner's coming from?
What game? Whoever
Okay.
wins the UCLA Marquette game, which is the nightcap game, 6:30 Pacific time, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
They win it. Purdue Gonzaga, I got Purdue in that game probably. It's gonna be a close one though. We got Tennessee over Cuse, Kansas obviously over Chaminade. But I think Kansas suffers their first loss in the Maui Gym.
The Marquette.
Either Marquette or UCLA. And I'm telling you, do not sleep on UCLA. They're good. Well coached.
I
Mick
said that.
Cronin's
I
got a
said
good
that
squad.
in our Pac-12 preview last episode. I told you, watch out, McCroney's crew.
But I do think Marquette probably wins it. If I had to pick a team, probably Marquette. What do you think?
I mean, just throw a dart and pick a number. There's a lot of really good teams, dude.
Everybody but Chaminade could win that thing.
I do think I do not think Purdue will win it. I see Tennessee handling them easier than Arkansas did in that exhibition game. Like Tennessee's built to beat a team like Purdue in the
Yeah,
tournament. They'll do it. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I want to go Tennessee here. I like the balls.
I really think it's going to be Tennessee and either Marquette or UCLA in a title game. And Marquette, you say that Tennessee is built to beat a team Purdue. Marquette is built to beat a team like Tennessee because they just did it at Illinois. They're built the same way.
Marquette has the makings to be a world beater, kind of like UConn was in the tournament last year. I would not be surprised one bit if we see that.
Yeah, definitely. I could totally see that.
So the next tournament I want to bring up is the Battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas. I'm gonna say it's a tier down from the Maui Gym. Nothing's touching the Maui Gym this year. It's good. But we
Yeah,
have Arkansas, Michigan, Memphis, North Carolina, Stanford, Texas Tech, Northern Iowa, and Villanova.
that's a good group too. Good group too. And one thing Eric Musselman has proved is that he's very good in preseason tournaments, at least from my standpoint. And I think that's going to be my pick. But don't be surprised if Michigan comes out of there and wins it. I told you, I really like what they're doing up there. Doug McDaniel, he's finding a way to get buckets. He's the real deal.
My team that I think you need to watch out for in this tournament is Memphis.
Yeah, I can see it. I just think,
Javon Quinterly was a great addition for them. They're sneaky. They'll be a tournament team, I think.
oh yeah,
They're gonna
definitely a tournament
they're
team. Probably
gonna
a 6-7 line. I think.
they're gonna upset some people this year. Don't be surprised one bit.
The only thing about them is, as you say, they're going to upset some people. But with
They're gonna
Memphis, I
get
say the
beat
same
too.
thing every year. Like their highs are highs and their lows are lows. I mean, it's just the way it is. All right, you ready to move to the last one?
The ESPN invite. We've got. Hopefully, I have the right side of this pulled up. Is there a
I
women's side
got
to
it.
this one too?
I got the men's side if you want it. We got Boise State, Butler, Atlantic, Iowa State, Penn State, A&M, VCU, and Virginia Tech. You can go
So I'm
first
going.
this one.
I'm gonna go with the SEC trifecta. I want A&M in this tournament
I could see that. Uh,
because I mean they're. I'm not. I'm not on the Florida Atlantic train. I'm not like they're a great mid major. But like this is the big boys playing now. They can't hang with Iowa State's physicality. Texas A&M, that's a seasoned group, good coach. I think it's gonna come down, in my opinion, between Iowa State and Texas A&M,
Yeah, I
and
could see that.
that's gonna be a tough nose matchup. That's gonna be fun to watch if that happens.
All right, you ready for this one though?
Okay.
The trendy picks are A&M, like you said, Florida Atlantic, and Virginia Tech right now. I think we can agree with that. Most places you see one of the three pick.
Hold up, I'm
But give
putting
me
bets
the
out right
Butler
now. You're
Bulldogs.
oh, I was gonna say you were gonna go Penn State. I thought you were gonna go Penn State there.
Give me the Butler Bulldogs. No, Penn State, they're going to be good, but I don't know. I have questions with them, with new coach and different things. Uh, Ace Baldwin's good, but what do they have behind Ace? It's kind of the same thing as Michigan State, but I don't think Ace is quite as good as or not Hogard, Walker is. Yeah, I like Butler a lot, though. They're good. Thad Matta has got something cooking.
Should be a great week of ball next week. I'm looking forward to it. You'll
And
have
there's
to tune
also a
in at
lot
the
of
next episode and see who picked the right winner, see who was better.
yeah,
We'll start keeping
absolutely.
tabs on that.
Definitely going to have to. There's also some other good games going on throughout the week, though. Tonight, Mizzou, Minnesota, and Auburn, Notre Dame are going on right now. I think both those are pretty good matchups. Haven't seen the score. Tomorrow, the matchup I really am excited to see is Miami and Georgia. I'm ready to see RJ Melendez against some real talent. I think I think Georgia's got a chance to win that game. Uh, there's also Maryland Villanova and San Diego State St. Mary's. They're all looking to kind of get their train moving because they've had really slow starts.
San Diego State, San Diego State needs that game against St. Mary's. They
And
need it.
St. Mary's needs it too. I mean, they both do. They both are coming off upsets. So that'll be a fun one. Same with Maryland Villanova. And Saturday, sneaky game to watch: Nebraska Oregon State. Battle of surprises. Both those teams are undefeated right now. Granted, they haven't played anybody. Sunday, here's the game to watch for me, though. The rest of it we already covered pretty well. But Sunday, Oakland and Drake. If you want to watch a preview of a couple mid majors that have an opportunity to make a run in the postseason, watch that game because both of those teams are good. Both of those teams are old. Both of those teams have major transfers on their rosters. Uh, it'll be fun. Oakland's 0-2, but they've played two really, really talented teams. Ohio State, who knows what's going to be with them, but they are really talented. And then, I mean, they played Illinois, of
They
course.
hung
I
they
mean,
hung with Illinois. They hung with
yeah,
them.
yeah,
They
until
made it
the
somewhat
end.
interesting.
Yeah, until the end. I mean, Illinois just kind of took over that game. Uh, yeah, that's it for the big games. The rest of them are kind of involved in the tournaments, so it'll be interesting to see for sure.
All right, so now Noah's favorite segment coming up, Flying Illini, Hog Heaven.
Well, I
Noah,
went.
start us off. Tell us a little bit about them Flying Illini.
All right, the Flying Illini, man. Okay, tough loss to Marquette, as I mentioned earlier. Those 15 turnovers, but a lot to like, a lot to learn from that. Uh, Coach Underwood, he said it best post game. He's like, "You guys played well enough to win in every asset but turnovers." What he told his locker room. He said, "You're not going to win many games like that, turning the ball over 15 times." He thought they played well, but here's one nugget. I don't think I touched on it earlier. Tyler Kolek traveled with it was 64-60. Marquette was winning. They had out of bounds in the backcourt. Kolek traveled, clear travel. I mean, it was obvious all over Twitter. If Illinois gets the ball and scores there, totally different game. That game probably goes to overtime. I'm telling you, I'm high on Marquette. I think Kansas and Kentucky are the best two teams, but I think Marquette is number 3. I think Arizona's probably 4, and Illinois' got a strong case. Arkansas's got a strong case. Both of those teams, I think they're really, really, really good. Purdue, Tennessee up there too. Once you get to after Marquette, which in my opinion is the third team, there's a lot of teams bunched together that could be sitting from 5 to or 4 or 5 to 10 or 12. I think there's a lot of teams in there. I think the Illini are one of them. I'm sold. Underwood is not playing the big man in Dane Danger, which I love the Danger zone, but good thing. That's all I really got.
Yeah. Like, I would agree with you that the top 5 teams in the country are not what's ranked right now. The AP poll, the biggest
No.
flaw with the AP poll is they pick what's sexy. So like
What people want
Illinois
to hear.
lost, so it's not sexy. Kentucky lost, it's not sexy. So they're not gonna get moved up for losing, even if
Yeah,
they
but
might be.
the way those losses were, if I was doing my poll, those teams shoot up the rankings because of how well they played, the things I saw from them.
We'll see. That's why they don't let people like me and you do the poll because we make too much sense. We don't look at just the
Yeah.
win-loss column.
we don't get many clicks. We're too truthful.
Yeah.
All right. Give me your hog heaven, bud.
Well, we have not played anybody yet. We did not get an exciting game. We let's see, Monday the Hogs had Old Dominion, and props to Old Dominion. They kept it close. They hung around the whole game. They got it to 6 points, 4 or 6 points late in the game. Uh Chauncey
That's another
Jenkins,
mid-major to watch.
Chauncey Jenkins, don't be surprised one bit if that boy ends up in an Arkansas jersey next year. He absolutely lit him up. You might as well call it a scouting day for Musselman. You know he's gonna be all over him in the portal after this season. But I mean, nothing to complain about. They beat a good mid-major. They shot 50% from the field, 42% from three. Like all's well and good. UNC Greensboro tomorrow. That's Trevin Brazil's revenge game. He tore his ACL against them last year. But let's hope for a injury-free end of the week. Then we got the battle for Atlantis next week. Looking forward to it. Get some Power Five competition finally.
Yeah, there is one more thing I forgot to add to Illinois. Everybody thought their second star was going to be Hawkins coming into the year. And Hawkins, didn't played horrible in the first half. Most of the reason why they lost. If he played like he did in the second half, in the first half, they probably win that game by 5-10 points. Just being a home game. But he hurt him in the first half. But they found their second star, and it's that DAWG dog from SIU, Marcus the Mask. He just tore it up. He took it right at his fellow
Can we take a
Wisconsin.
moment to appreciate SIU? They have put out some great transfers this year.
How did
But
they not win with
Lance
that
Jones is a
team?
dog. He every now and then he shoots one from Carbondale all the way to West Lafayette, Indiana. Like he'll pull it from way out there. But the dude's tough. He's strong. He goes at you. Same thing with
That's
the
what I
mask.
want to know.
He's a gamer, dude. I like these SIU transfers.
Hey, what did Purdue put in Lance Jones' water though? Because he was not that big last year at
Oh,
SIU.
he's
He is
jacked now.
massive. But yeah, dude, the mask man, I'm telling you, he is. He is good. He gets on the glass. He brings it up for him. When Ty Rodgers is in the game, he's their main point guard. He plays the most minutes of anybody on the Illini squad. You can tell that he's been through the ringer a little bit at SIU. He's used to playing a lot of minutes, and Underwood knows it. I think that's why he went out and got those mid-major guys rather than getting the major guys. He knows they can play minutes. They're tough. And he just still, he was just backing down Marquette, spin move, little jump hook every time. Money.
So we're getting close to the end here. We got one more segment. Noah, in the past week. What made you clutch your pearls?
I told him, Brown. I told Grant that I'm going to surprise him with him, and he's probably going to make fun of me for it after I say this. But how about the kahunas on Tyler Kolek? Said after the game, he's like, that dude just baffled me, man. Like, he had a blue and purple ankle and goes out there and I think he had, 23, 26? Like, just all over the glass. Like, he was everywhere on defense. I mean, that dude, not the best overall point guard in the country. That belongs to DeJuan Harris at Kansas. But by far the best scoring point guard in the country. Sorry, Jaden Epps. I know you think you are out there at Georgetown, left to go get buckets and lose, but yeah, it's gotta be Tyler Kolek, man. That dude is good.
All right, you got me on a whole other side topic now. Just from I don't disagree with you one bit. That's a good one. I was thinking about saying the same thing. But but I have an argument for one thing you said. If you are picking just the point guard, forget about their team around them. You're saying you would take DeJuan Harris over Tyler Kolek. If they're playing one on one, I'm taking Kolek all day, dude.
Oh yeah, one on one, I'm taking Kolek, but I'm saying that I think Harris makes everyone else on his team better than Kolek does. But Kolek in a one on one game, yes, I'm taking him because he just can score. It doesn't matter where from, who against, he's going to score. But Harris generally guards out of the 1 through 3 spots. If the best player is at one of those spots, he's going to guard that person for Kansas. He
I'll give
takes
it to
care of
Harris. Harris is a winner. Like he's got that winning
yes.
pedigree. But I just think Kolek's better.
he might be, but I just think that Harris
I don't
is the
think
best
Marquette's the
passer in the
same if you
country.
put DeJuan Harris on that Marquette team. Like if they trade
No, because it's
places,
not what
I
they're
think Kansas gets better with Kolek, but Marquette's not any better with DeJuan Harris.
thing about Kansas is how would Kolek I think it's hard to compare them, honestly. It really is. That's why I said like Kolek is the best scoring guard. Harris is the best all around guard because Harris is the better defender. Harris is probably the better passer. Harris is actually probably the better rebounder. He gets a lot of rebounds for a guard generally. He fills up the stat sheet on the dirty work end of it. But Kolek is by far the better scorer. There's no arguing about that. But at Marquette, they need a go-to scorer because Cam, what's his last name? Jones, I think it is, something like that. I don't know what his last name is. Good guard, like that's probably better backcourts in the country, if not the best backcourt in the country up there at Marquette. But he's not. He's more the playmaker. He kind of makes things happen when things need to happen. Kolek's a guy when you need a bucket, he's going to go get it. Harris is not that guy. He's more of the playmaking guy. You know who actually reminds me of him? It's Ty Rodgers. He's not there yet. Kind of the same thing like Harris was as a sophomore. He's going to make a lot of mistakes right now, but by the time Ty Rodgers is a senior, he's going to be in that talk. He does all the little things right, and he knows how to get to the rim, make things happen. And I think that's where Harris is so good and why he makes Kansas so good. He sets up McCullers so well.
Like I said, he's a winner. Kolek's a scorer. We can you know what, we can agree to disagree on that one. I think Kolek's just better. That's my argument. He's better. And that is what we're ending the podcast on. Another great episode. Another great episode.
Clutch your pearls?
You took mine, man.
I mean, it's hard not to go with that. It doesn't matter what went on with the week. Like
Kolek's kahunas were big enough for both of us to clutch our pearls this week. So you know what?
It's bigger than this Zoom meeting. I'll tell you that. Just whoppa. I mean, wow.
Hopefully, we need to edit in the South Park clip where Randy has the giant balls and he pushes them around in a wheelbarrow. That was Tyler Kolek in Champaign the other night.
All right, before we get off of here, I want to say one thing. Uh, I want to thank you guys for listening in. I also want to say our edits are going to be coming out. They're going to be a little late. Our help is extremely busy with a lot of different things going on. And he wasn't able to get it last time because the way we had the format set up. Format's right this time. We got it cooking here on the
We're
Clutch
figuring it
Pearl
out
podcast.
slowly,
We
slowly
are.
but surely.
We're learning on the run, but this is going to hopefully get out, and then we'll get it edited and get that one out. Thanks for being on here and talking some basketball, Grant.
Yes, sir.